With liberty, yes, for all.
Everybody get a chance to review the minutes from the February 13th regular session. Any changes, corrections? We'll approve them as written.
Maybe you will. We do not have a treasurer as clerk.
Neither, okay. Report.
All right, give you guys the numbers for February, had a daily average of 88 minutes lockup. It's average of 74 males and 13 females. Work release, we had daily average of 28. We had 23 males and 3 females. Staffing update, corrections were allotted 21 positions. As of yesterday, we have 18 filled. So we did I've ever had.
Wow, great.
And yesterday, George was very busy. He signed up 4 people to work for us. Dispatch, we have 9 positions. 6 of those are filled. We need 3, but to address that issue, we hired 4 part-time people in dispatch, and there are 2 additional people in the process for part-time. Community corrections, we have 1 field officer position open. Deputy-wise, we have 19 positions. We have 1 spot that is open at this time, and we have a guy going to American Bed. We have 2 in the academy. They're a little over halfway done. I think they're finishing week 8 now. They'll graduate April 19th. And we had one of our new deputies started March 4th. And in the time that I got here, I just wanted to take this opportunity to speak with everyone about the upcoming Eclipse event, April 6th and 8th. First of all, the Gibson County Sheriff's Office is committed to preserve the peace during this 3-day event. Chief Ballard and I have been doing our homework, attending meetings, and we are working to finalize a plan that will address traffic issues and any calls for service that we may receive during this extended weekend. Next, I want to warn everybody that there will be a heavy police presence during this event. That's because we want people to know that we are a county that protects our citizens. We have a safe and welcoming place for them to come to experience this once in a lifetime event. But here's what we've done. On February the 28th, we held a command staff meeting with the sheriff's office that had 15 sheriff's office employees in attendance. There were representatives from dispatch, the jail, road sergeants, community corrections, East Gibson School SROs, South Gibson SROs, and even the deputy showed up somehow. He got in the meeting. We met to discuss the scheduling for the weekend. We reiterated that during this 3-day event, it will be an all hands on deck situation. There will be no vacations or days off granted during those 3 days. With schools being closed, we will have our school resource officers on the road helping with coverage for the event. As a result, we will have a deputy, most likely multiple ones, assigned to 9 of our 10 townships. Wabash Township has like 50 people in it. So if they have to crawl, go crawl that week, we will actually have somebody in there. But otherwise, Montgomery Township will, if you don't know what the crawl is, you'd go to it, just so you know. Montgomery Township will cover Wabash that day. Further, we'll have the major intersections covered after the event to ensure traffic moves safely and effectively. It's my intention to lean on my road sergeants to have them pay attention to call volume and call audibles when call volume or circumstance warrants. Last week, George and I met with local police chiefs and town marshals and see what their plans were, and we have to report that Patoka will be all hands on deck. So we shared our plans for the event, and they shared theirs. Later this month, I'll have a meeting with my deputies, special deputies, and school resource officers where we'll share the plan that the command staff's been working on. So, you guys have any questions? Thank you.
Lots to report. You guys got our February report. On the Eclipse for us, we'll be doing food inspections. You know, if there's anything out there that's not already inspected, so we're watching for that, and any environmental violations, kickers, whatever. They'll be looking at that. I will have more supply of Narcan if anybody needs it. So it's coming from the state. I should be getting it here in the next week, so. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
David?
I just want to give you the February report for the game first. For February, we had a total run volume of 425 runs. 366 of them were 911 calls. We had 59 transfers out of the hospital. We billed $279,744. We collected $132,000 and $437.94. We also broke it down to where there's kind of a pie graph there that you guys can see kind of where the run volume is. And do you have any questions on this?
How's our staffing?
Right now, we are fully staffed.
Congratulations.
Really?
Everybody, everything's fully staffed.
We've got every shift fully staffed at this point. So, and I always say at this point because I know how last summer went. We was okay, and then all at once, one day, we lose one person, and the next day we lose somebody else. But right now, we are fully staffed.
Can you,
We have 24 full-time employees.
can you start getting a list of potentials? Backups?
Well, we've got some. We're still working on it. We just hired another one this last week, another part-time. And like I said, we've got, I'm gonna say we probably got 10 part-timers, and I'd have to look at the list, but
That's good.
you know, but even at that, we still have times. But what happens is that when we need them even to work part-time for them, sometimes they're not available. But right now, we're doing pretty good. We have most of our full-time employees and our part-time employees. We're filling most of the shifts if somebody takes off, gets sick or whatever. But we do have all the shifts, you know, fully staffed.
On,
Happy for you.
on hospital transfers, are those getting turned into insurance? Are those,
Yeah.
they're all insurance or
Well, that's.
like, are we having collections on any hospital?
Here's the only problem we have with the hospital, they have to be medically necessary. And what we do is when we get up there, every once in a while, we get runs that they try, you know, they want to dispatch our out of there. And what happens is sometimes they're not medically necessary. So what we have to do, we have to advise the patient, we have a form that they need to sign saying if the insurance don't cover it, they will. So that's how we've been doing it. So far it's been working fine. It's nothing new, you know, so.
What's your plan for Eclipse?
What's the plan? Okay, right now, what we're planning on doing is we've got all 4 trucks, you know, staffed. We're also planning on, as long as we have all 4 of our backups, we're trying to get them all staffed. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna spread them out throughout the county. Right now, and we're trying to get backup routes because we know our main routes are gonna be pretty bad. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to get one like towards Hazleton. Gonna have a couple here in Princeton. We'll have one down at Hopstock, one in Fort Bragg, one in Owensville. We're gonna even try to get one down towards the Mackey, Buckskin area, and then one in Princeton. So that will cover, you know, hopefully, you know, anything, and then we'll just have to move it around as needed. Now that is on for Monday. Now, for the rest of the weekend, we're gonna just try to cover the events as they happen, because we got events on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So we're gonna try to cover the events as the events happen. But for Monday, the main event, we're gonna try to have, you know, basically 8 trucks on and try to spread them out so we can cut down the response time because of the traffic. Questions?
I'll let you jump ahead.
George isn't in a hurry.
He's gonna stay till the end anyway, yeah. We're gonna,
So, Jim McDonald, representing Gibson County Redevelopment Commission. I have, for the minutes, I could go, Gordon Ballard is here, he's vice president, and I have Larry Mickle here. In the, legislature's infinite wisdom, they have now put another requirement on redevelopment commission. That is, every year we have to come to the county council and, give you a report on the status of redevelopment. You don't vote on it, it's just in your minutes that we appeared and gave you report. As you see on the second page of your handout, it's got reporting requirements. We've always had to do the April 1st fiscal plan. April 15th, we've always done that, and we've loaded it up to DLGF Gateway. But this year, we've added the commissioners and council on the report as well. Pass-through determination has always been June 15th. That is pass-through capture. If you understand that concept, how much we pass through to the taxing units as assessed value, how much we capture that is retained, what assessed value do we retain, what revenue we retain. TIF neutralizations is the same. That's basically when we adjust our assessed value and predict what our revenue stream will be for the next year. The annual spending plan is something new. We have to make that determination by December 1st, beginning this year, and we have to set out an annual spending plan for the next calendar year. We have to make that report to you and commissioners, as well as the LGF. And then annual presentation to the taxing unit, that's basically done every year as well. So you see there's a lot of reporting that RDC will have to do coming up this year, and one of the first steps that we have to do. The next page, you see the commission members for 2023. I will note that the only change is the school board non-voting member was David Lewis last year from South Gibson. This year we have Joe Williams from North Gibson School Corporation serving. TIF allocation areas, you have three. One is the Pacopa Union Township, i.e. Toyota. We have Owensville North, which is basically the coal mine, and then the new Butech plant, they're on 515 down in Union Township. So you have three, and you see the expiration dates are critical. The Toyota TIF district will roll off December 20th, 2025. So that assessed value will hit in 2026. Owensville expires in 37 and Butech in 43. The next page, you see the revenues and expenditures for last year. The total Union Township revenues was 9.4, expenditures 11.5. Owensville North, 853,000, expenditures 903. UTEC allocation area 143, expenditures 124. Then you see some debt service expenditures that we've done as far as debt service, capital outlays, and other professional fees.
Tim,
Yes, sir.
for the smooth brain people like myself,
Uh-huh.
can you explain how we got a revenue of 9 million, but we spent 11?
Well, because
Fund
we had
balance.
carry over from the year
Fund balance.
before.
That's what I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Just on paper, it doesn't look right. So I just want to make sure we had a fund balance.
We don't have the same requirement as far as budgets as you do.
Right.
We don't have to spend it in the year. We
Got it.
carry it over.
Fair enough. Just wanted to hear that on record.
Yeah, no. Doesn't happen very often. Can't do that very often.
No.
What is the listing at the end with the parcel numbers and different taxpayer names? On that second set of paperwork. Are you to that yet?
Rated.
It's attached by the,
But that's
for each of
yeah, the
the.
Toyota, that's the assessed value, and that's the different parcels that are in that TIF district.
Okay,
And Diversity Butech, all
so
those.
obviously Hopstott's the one I was wondering about.
Yeah, that's Hopstot redevelopment, I think.
So all those,
Properties are in
Properties are in
Hopstot,
there.
I believe. Yeah, they're all
got
residential.
it, okay. Gotcha.
Next page is the, some projects that we allocated funds to, Fort Branch Library, which is now open. If you haven't been down there, go down and check it out. It's really nice. Second Avenue, City of
Excuse me.
Princeton, also, water mains in the city of Princeton, and then, of course, the YMCA. Which is all last year.
Jim, on that Fort Branch Library, who can actually use that then?
Okay.
Who can actually use that Fort Branch Library? I know that you have to get a,
I don't represent Full Branch Library. They came for a capital project. And we supported the capital project because it's a benefit to the TIF district, education, children. I don't know if you have to join the library to be a part of the library. I don't know if you have to live in Union Township or Johnson Township. I don't know. I don't know that answer. Sorry, I couldn't answer that question.
because we tried to go, my wife tried to go in there to get a book or something and they wouldn't let her because we lived on the other side of the street out there.
Oh, I see.
I believe that's how they approach it. I don't think you can, because my employee of mine lives in Evansville and has tried to go over there and get books, and they don't have the facility to do that. I thought that when Laura Hoppy took over, that was one of the things she was gonna try to get fixed, but sounds like no. But Laura is who to talk to about that if
Yeah, Laura
if you
Hoppy.
have any questions, Laura Hoppy.
Laura Hoppy.
Yes, Larry.
Thank you.
The way I understand it, if you get a library card from Fort Branch and our Hopstock, and you have a library card just like you have in Generations, but, Fort Branch and Hopstock are interchangeable. I'm almost sure Princeton is too.
We live in the Oakland City
You know,
district.
Right.
No, Fort Branch and Hopstock are interchangeable. And I don't know. I don't know about Mackey, but.
He's talking more though about eligibility, who can get a library card.
Library card?
And I think you have to live in the area.
Yes,
I mean, yeah, Hopstock's part of Fort Branch for sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Fort Branch Library is taxed by Union Township and John. Taxes.
Yeah, that's why, because the libraries are taxing units.
Thank you.
And then the next page, you see the fund balances as of December 31st, allocation. Watoga Township is 14 million. Butech had 70,000, Owensville had around 640,000 in total monies available for the TIF. Now, some of those are debt services, so that's not it's available to spend, that's just debt. So you see the debt payments in 2023, we have Owensville North and UTEC, that's in debt service. Any questions? Concerns of the board? Any concerns? Questions on upcoming projects or anything that's going on?
Long-term funding for the Watoga Township, till December of 2025. We can be properly funded all the way through. Have we overspent?
Well, right now, we're balancing, I think the Toyota Perimeter Road is the one account that goes up and down. Depending on the assessed valuation, what predicted revenues we're gonna have. Redevelopment has entertained the animal shelter as the next project, but they haven't funded anything towards the animal shelter because of the shortfall that they're seeing is gonna happen. So projects are still coming, but whether or not they'll be funded or not, still up in the air.
So we have $10 million to redo that perimeter road?
No, sir. Yep, about 8.5.
I would strongly urge them to make that a priority over funding new projects. It would sure be nice to for the tax base to inherit that road in great shape. Rather than to get a huge chunk right off the bat there that.
The paving costs have went up 6% last year alone.
Got it? You hear us?
It's scheduled to be done in 25, probably. Perimeter roads, the best I know, what I've been told, is a feeder road to east of Toyota is hopefully, most of them are gonna be done this summer. And then, and the balance of them and the perimeter roads, so probably the following summer, but all that's subject to change. And then Tulip Tree, there's 8.2, allocated for the perimeter road around Toyota. And, it's probably gonna be done in 2026, but it's all subject to change, but there should be enough to cover everything that's been allocated. My big thing is there's 8,000 to 10,000 cars a day go on Tulip Tree Drive. It's the heaviest traffic road in Gibson County that we maintain. It has to be maintained. A year ago, we appropriated up to $200,000 to get it sealed. And our county engineer said that's what he recommended doing at that point in time. And that should be okay for at least 3 years. That's why and I'm okay with that. That's why but I know it's coming down the road. And to hit the county with a big tax bill after we've went through all the money that was originally for that road, it kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Understand? The taxpayers need to know that road, that's where that money came from, was to maintain that road. Am I understanding? I understand, that's true. That's right.
Needs to be paid for before that falls off. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
We need to go back to old business.
Yes. Skipped him on purpose.
Want to do Sharon where she can go to.
Wait, Sharon, do you need to go to court? Okay. Time for old business. There's only one item.
Well, weather's been great, so we get a lot done. They go on people working. One day over there. The air handlers that are for the jail pod they're actually in the building. I've had 2 or 3 people say, well, is that the jail cell? No, those are big air handlers.
I thought they were too, so I'm like, whoa, those are small.
First thing I thought.
Those are going to be delivered March 21st. Actually, sales in they have like what they call a landing pad, actually. They'll be rolling.
That on,
Wheels out.
on the Brumfield side there.
On Brumfield.
I've seen that sticking out of.
Yeah, that's where they did their handlers too. They did them exactly the same way.
Is there any chance we could get the sheriff on top of it while they're rolling them? Right, that'd be a good PR.
There's a picture involved. That picture would be him riding one with a donut in his hand.
Yeah, even better, even better.
Or maybe dressed up as Peter Picture. Oh, man, you can see pretty.
Versatile.
Concrete block walls are actually going up inside the jail pod. The roof over the jail pod's 100%. Windows are all in the sheriff's offices now. Putting up drywall inside the sheriff's office. Bullet resistant walls or panels are being put in. The windows are bullet resistant too. And like I say, the cells are going to be put in 19, 20, 21st. So things are moving along really fast right now. They're doing a lot of work right now. So we're headed that way.
The walls that go around the jail pod. What is going the rest way up? I remember seeing the plans, but I forgot since then.
Blocks up about 3/4. What's
So it'll be steel. You know, steel. As a matter of fact, if you get over there on near intersection of Brumfield and Prince, you can kind of look toward the sheriff's office, and they've actually started to put that on the sheriff's office walls. And it's a kind of a corrugated steel panel that goes on there above that limestone that you're talking about. And that'll go all the way around the building. So eventually our construction camera is eventually probably gonna go away. You know, there is a time lapse on that construction camera, you can actually go back and watch months of it if you have nothing to do someday. See how it's put together, you're kind of bored, can't see it. Okay, oh, I know what you're gonna answer, the best of my knowledge, it's still coming down, okay?
Just check.
Right. Thank you.
Sharon,
Good morning, gentlemen. For the record, Sharon Rooney, I'm, on the advisory board for the Gibson County Animal Shelter. I wanted to give you guys a quick update on what's going on with the new building, but before I do that, very quickly, we don't do a monthly report. I figured you guys get plenty of numbers thrown at you. So I'm just gonna do a real quick end of the year report. We had 530 animals that were taken in by the animal shelter this year. The majority of those were actually, where there were calls, they were animals running loose. There are some where people come to the shelter and turn in animals, but the majority of the 530 animals picked up between dogs and cats were all strays or vicious dogs or things like that. So, I guess what I would emphasize is out of those 530, 238 were dogs. That meant there were either 238 dogs that were eventually reunited with their owners, or more importantly, for the citizens of the county, those were dogs that weren't out there causing problems with livestock or walkers or runners or anything like that. So, that's what Animal Services does for the county. We have the contract for animal control. So, we did do that. And out of the animals that weren't adopted, they are not euthanized for space. Like, we want to let everyone know repeatedly, we don't euthanize for space. We only euthanize if an animal comes in as severely injured or if it's super sick and can't be helped. So, we had, I guess, the biggest incident for the shelter last year was we had a huge boarding incident. And there were like 38 dogs and pups that were kept in kind of a yard barn. It didn't develop into a neglect situation. It was an older couple. I think the wife had some kind of terminal illness. The husband was taking care of the wife full time, and the dogs just unfortunately weren't taken care of. The shelter took in, and that was a big bunch to take in. What did I say? 28 dogs, I think. Anyway, the problem was those dogs came in and one of them had parvo. And there's really not a quick test you can do when you bring a dog into the shelter to know it has parvo. The puppies started getting sick and were exhibiting typical parvo signs, took them to the vet, it was parvo. And unfortunately, there were a few dogs adopted just prior to that, had been in the shelter, and because, and I'll bring this up in a minute, because there's just one ventilation system and kind of a very old dilapidated building out there, parvo quickly will spread through a shelter and devastate. Now, we were lucky, the staff worked tons of hours, round the clock, went home to sleep for a couple hours, came back, and what you do in a parvo situation is you bleach everything top to bottom. Every surface gets bleached tremendously. So ultimately, the only dogs that died was one of the puppies that came in with the hoarding situation. So I really commend the staff for doing what is the worst thing that can happen to a shelter. So they did a really good job. Okay, so then moving on to why I'm actually here is for a quick update. And my little handout does not have lots of numbers. So those of you that are number people, you might be disappointed, but I have photographs, so I'm gonna hand this out. And I feel like I owe you guys an apology for not coming sooner. I never know how much you do or don't want to know about like this project going on. But the reality is, it's like any project. Lots of start and stop and wait. So just as a real quick recap, the animal shelter is, our animal services is a collaboration between Gibson County and a not-for-profit that's called Emmy Corporation. The county, through the commissioners, give, provide a building, they provide vehicles, and they provide most of the salaries for 3 full-time employees and 1 part-time. The rest of it is provided by Emmy Corporation, a 501c3. So Emmy Corporation provides the rest of the salary, they provide debt services, the food, the medicine, the equipment, the housing, everything else. A lot of the utilities are provided by Emmy Corporation. So the county gives Emmy Corporation in this past year, $105,000. And then Emmy Corporation, through the non-stop fundraising that we bug everybody about, is what fills that gap. So in addition to, well, the contract is for animal control. But then in addition to the animal control and the welfare of the animals, and the adoptions that go on and the fostering, the shelter staff and the volunteers have been able to do a couple other programs. The 3 main ones listed there in the first paragraph is Senior Pause. That's done with the help of a grant from the Community Foundation. And what that is offering medical assistance and services, short-term housing to senior members in the community. It's also veterans, and it really is anyone on a very low income. So thank you to the Community Foundation providing funds for that. That's really been a lifeline to a lot of people. And then the other, one of the other ones is the Harley's Heart Fund. That is a fundraiser we do once a year. And when animals come into the shelter that may just have a broken leg, they're not really sick, they just need to be fixed. The funding we had didn't really allow us to have that broken leg fixed. So we created the Harley's Heart Fund, and that now pays for things when animals come into the shelter that we now have some resources to fix that. It's also used, last year we used it in a domestic violence situation. A lady whose abuser had abused her, and there were kids there, and as abusers do, picked up the puppy and threw it against the wall, and of course, terrified the victim, made the children even more upset, and DCS was called, law enforcement was called. The guy was arrested, he's currently being prosecuted. But fortunately, DCS and law enforcement know we can help, so they reached out to Animal Services. The lady hardly had a place to go with her kids, much less had money to help the puppy. So she was desperate, and the caseworker contacted Animal Services and asked if we could help. And we did. And the puppy is fine. The kids are now out of that situation, at least she. So that's what Harley's Heart Fund does. That's just one of the stories. We also helped a veteran last year who was in that briefly, that story was George Pickersfield gets a phone call on a Monday. A veteran had been biking and hit by a car, and he'd been down in Evansville, and he was terrified what was going to happen to his dog. His dog he was left tied up on his front porch at home. He knew he'd been in the hospital for quite a while. So the staff at Animal Services got together food and water and things and went to his neighborhood. And while he was in the hospital and rehab, went to his house multiple times a day to feed him water and take care of his dog. He fortunately was rehabbed. The neighbors pitched in. They saw Animal Services there every day. So it was kind of one of those, it takes a village. Animal Services helped in addition to the neighbors. And that particular veteran now is back in his home. His dog is happy. I mean, it was a great collaboration. Wellness clinics. I won't go through the rest of them, but just real quickly. Wellness clinics we've been doing for several years. We now are up to, twice a year in the spring and the fall. And through help of the Princeton Veterinary Services, their vets and their staff They volunteer one Saturday in the spring and one Saturday in the fall, and we try to help with that. And anyone on a fixed income, a senior, a veteran, can bring their animal in and can be completely vaccinated up to snuff for $20. And we have any animals and you go to the vet for your yearly shot, you know, $20 is quite the deal. We've had a volunteer who is very active in contacting one of the veterinary supply pharmaceutical companies. Every year they donate the vaccines to us, and whatever vaccines are unused go out to the shelter for the shelter animals. So again, that's been a really good collaboration. And now to the point where people who probably have never vaccinated their animals are able to come in and come up with $20 to do that, and to the point where they call in the spring and fall, when's the next clinic? So that's a good thing again for the community. You've got dogs out there from people who don't have a lot of money. And if those dogs get loose, if they were, God forbid, to bite anyone, they fully vaccinated. So that's a service we're very proud of. And then you can see there's other things that we do. Now to the point of the building. So again, brief background. In very late 2022, the Gibson County, well, it was the ARPA committee recommended the commissioners approved $800,000 for a brand new building, which is desperately needed. If you've been to the shelter, everybody does the best they can, but it's definitely not going to be on the photo tour of Gibson County of things to see. It's small. It was built in the 70s. It was never designed to be a shelter. So one of the things I brought up about the Parvo incident was we're going to have separate ventilation systems for the quarantine area. So if you look back at the pictures, in the one that isn't as pretty is just the floor plan. There's parts that are shaded blue. Those will be the separated cat and dog quarantine area. And those will have separate ventilation systems from the rest of the building. So if you do bring an animal in, you now have a place that it can be completely tested. And ventilation and be able to have them all right there and we'll hopefully reduce some type of needs into the environment. So anyway, so the building we have now is, I guess, on a very good day, you could say it's functional. That's the best term. There's a lot of other terms that are probably more derogatory. But anyway, so we get 800,000 allocated from ARPA, and every corporation has another 200,000 per in, so that's $1 million. So the question is, my question, not being involved in this before, $1 million, oh my gosh, what a great shelter we can build for $1 million. So, and we had gotten quotes, obviously, to submit to ARPA, so $1 million seemed like that was reasonable. Well, we got, as we all know, down to the nitty gritty, and immediately we are told by the architect firm that was hired, which was the low bidder, and their BPS out of Evansville. We really like them. They've been great to work with. They said at a minimum it's 1.7 million. And we, at the time we did the submission to ARPA, we didn't know what kind of septic system we would need, so we didn't have that put into the grant. We've now found out that between the septic system and the engineer that you need to draw and have the septic system approved by the state, we want to do solar panels, and we want to do radiant floor heating in the kennel area and in the garage area, because talking to other shelters that have that, and the architect who's designed radiant floor heating in like fire stations and things are telling us that that's a much more efficient in the long haul, and it would be more comfortable for the animals. Anyway, between all of that, we feel that it's probably going to be close to $2 million, and which sounds like a lot of money, because it is a lot of money. But the shelter, we feel, and we've got the pictures there, we feel this is what Gibson County needs. It's a building designed to be a shelter. When you look through the pictures, you see we've only got the kennel areas on the south side of the building. That's to avoid the north wind, also to make it more efficient. There's a lot of things we've designed into the facility. It's going to be a 60 by 160 building. It's going to be 3 times the size of the current shelter. We currently have 16 kennels, and the population out there, week and a half ago was 22 dogs. We have 51 anyway, we have 38 kennels. Look on the very back page, you can see along the side of kenneling, there it says large dog kennels. Most of that's about 3/4 of them. Then there's kind of a cross little line, which is a wall. We're gonna have small dog kennels on the right. That there'll be a wall between large and small dogs, so the small dogs aren't so freaked out when they're out in a new environment and big barking dogs close by. We got kennels on the far right that are bigger. Those will be for dogs who have potentially litters or multiple groups of animals from the same location can be kenneled in there. We're also very excited. We're gonna have an inside garage. So when animals are brought in, instead of just parked outside and carrying animals from the vehicles into the inside, we actually can unload inside a area that it's not pouring down rain, it's not freezing cold. So that'll be good. We'll have a grooming station where the animals can be hosed down before they go into quarantine. Across from the quarantine area is a medical room. This will be very basic. It's for basic triage, which now we'll have space to do that. It also ultimately will be a low-cost spay neuter area for the citizens in the county, and hope that someday be able to provide that service to the citizens. Kind of in the garage area, off to the right where it says holding, that's something we've seen in some shelters that they've all told us is a really good idea. That would be, former Chief McGraw, we know this, Jay, but if an officer's on a traffic stop and you arrest somebody for drunk driving and they have a dog in the car, and it's a cute little adorable beagle, which anyone knows me knows closest to my heart are beagles. They're not ferocious, perfectly healthy. What do you do with the beagle? You got to take the guy to jail. You call another officer, stand there waiting for the vehicle to be towed, and the animal service to come pick up the dog. Well, so we only have 3 employees, so they're on call, and you're up in Johnson. Our employees are down in Owensville, which is where they all live. They have to first be dispatched, get a vehicle, go to the location, pick up the animal, and then the officer's free to leave. So this would allow somebody to pick up that dog, drive out to the shelter, have a secure punch-in code, get into the holding area and put that animal into a pen. And that's the only part of the shelter from what we understand from other shelters, this is a wonderful option. Doesn't have to be used, but it's a great option for law enforcement, and locations that have this regularly use that. Then you can see on there, over towards the left, we have meet and greet rooms. We can actually now have an area where instead of standing in a tiny little hallway out of the shelter, or on good days, you stand in the gravel parking lot and you decide whether you want to adopt that dog or cat. You'll actually have secured little rooms where you can meet with that animal or bring your own animal out to see how they interact. And then the cat area, you can see better maybe from the pictures. On the left side, there'll be a catio area, so those animals, the cats, healthy ones that are up in the cat room, can go into a screened-in porch area. So a lot of thought. There's a lot of other things. We've got long range, but that's the basics that we feel Gibson County deserves to have. And operates 24/7. Things later that we hope to add is, outdoor, fenced in play areas for the animals. We're gonna have a very basic barn stable area, so if livestock are out on the highway, there's been a crash, temporary storage of livestock. One of the things I think that I'm excited about as well, excited about it all, but Stephanie McKinney was telling me years ago, Gibson County actually used to have a training area for canine search and rescue dogs. We can now, we'll have plenty of space because this is gonna be on 5 acres. It'll be enclosed. We can get back to be participating in that. And if there ever were, God forbid, a huge disaster, like sneezing, there would be a very good place for canine teams to be able to be staged if those were ever needed. So those are some of the stuff. So back to the nitty gritty. So we were hoping 1 million would cover it. It's not gonna. So we're thinking we're gonna need up to 2 million. So what we've done is we've worked with Tammy Hack with economic development. So we've already put our name in the list of please give us money from the Ready 2.0 funds. My understanding from Tammy is it'll probably be June-ish or so before we know if our project is approved, and if so, how much money. We could receive up to about $350,000 if our full request is accepted and funded. So that would be a great source. We've got some other things in the works. You as the council, I know, are interested in where's the money. At this point, we have not sought any county money. The only money that would be considered county money at this point would be the $800,000 through the ARPA, which some people consider that, and it's taxpayer money on some level, but it's not direct county money like other projects have. I'm not saying at some point we won't be coming to the council to ask for money to finish the project. Our architects understand the situation we're in, and they are designing it and say the project to be a 2-phase project if we have to, where we can utilize the $800,000, which has to be utilized by the end of the year, and have the building shell put up. We put up perimeter fencing, we put up security cameras. We would do some of the inside work, and then phase 2, we would do then as we get money. Either we're actively seeking grants from other sources way outside the county, big time animal welfare type grant situations. Like Petco and Bissell and Rachel Ray and a lot of those national organizations have money that you can request for things like those.
What is your total square footage of that building?
It's 60 by 160. Whatever the math comes out to. I've been told that it's approximately 3 times as big as the current building.
The building has to be sprinkled.
Does it have to be what?
Sprinkled,
I mean, like,
our system.
it doesn't have to be, but we are gonna do that.
State code requires it, doesn't it?
We haven't gotten that far. We've
Square
asked the
footage.
architect to.
I would double check that. 'Cause I think square footage
Well,
requires that.
That's one of the additional expenses we told the architects. They didn't originally, build that into it, so I can't speak to the
What's your water source out there?
water source will be,
Well, sprinkle systems have to have like 4 inches of water, 4-inch water main. I'm just curious,
yeah,
because I hate for you to get hit with more surprises.
well, yeah.
I think there's a big water line running right out there. across the road.
There is right along the road.
Positive, because we
Okay.
looked into it,
Yeah,
getting water at the.
I think over 7,000 feet has to be sprinkled.
Positive, there's a big line, 4-inch line running through there.
Just pipe get bigger.
Is it Pike Gibson?
I think it would be, Gibson's, Gibson Water.
Gibson Water.
Yes.
I just hate for see you go up, like, all of a sudden you're framing up a building,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, guess what? I haven't got enough water.
Water, yeah, they need to check your water source for
We
sure.
are, in meeting with the architects to finalize, the parts we absolutely have to have in phase one on Friday, so I'll definitely bring it up. I really think.
That's fine. I just hate for you to get a surprise.
Yes, yes, I appreciate it.
Sharon, could I ask you a question?
Yes.
If someone brings a dog to you, do you charge that person to leave the dog there?
There is a basic turn-in cost, yes, it's like $20,
How much?
25, 15, it's somewhere in that.
So
range.
if a person's out here and sees stray dogs, picks them up and brings them to you,
Oh, I'm not sure that would be, this is more for owner turn-in.
Okay.
Where I've taken a job out of state, I can't take my dog with me, can you take the dog? I can put that.
so you're not sure about the. you know.
Right, yeah, I wouldn't think so, and probably we would encourage, people to call, the animal shelter.
Let them
because
handle it?
You never know, a
Okay.
dog is wondering. what is-
Sure.
Anything else? So you'll be hearing more from me, especially if we have no money. I hope we don't have to do that. We really don't want to burden the county with more expenses, but it is a county facility that serves everybody 24/7. And I think the shelter staff does a great job. We're trying to do the best we can and provide a building that will last and be very, very functional, and not just be functional, but we can actually put it on a bullet point for highlights of Gibson County. All right, thank you.
Derek didn't leave just because you mentioned his name. He had a meeting at the hospital at 10 that he had to be, so. Transfer requests. Have, oh, go ahead.
Personal.
We have personal services, a 9121 request from 11,300 part-time in the amount of $5,000 and 12,307 group insurance, $10,000 into 12,303 overtime. In the amount of 15,000, and then Fund 1176 requires a transfer from light equipment operator in the amount of 400 into severance pay. We'll entertain a motion to those transfers.
I'll move.
I'll second.
I'll make it.
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. And then we have an out of series transfer. Fund 1200 requests a transfer from 33,603 investigator fees in the amount of $928 into 12,307 group insurance for $928.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion, Jay. Second, Jeff. Any discussion, questions?
That was one have extra money that they can transfer out of and one needs money to has to transfer into.
This is the investigator.
This is because she had to hire somebody to train because one
Okay,
of her reporters is going
Yeah,
to
I remember that.
the
okay,
Superior Court. So that's why.
okay.
Probably more available in that investigator fees, but 928 was needed for the group insurance. Is that how? We have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. And then we have a few additional appropriations or requests. Fund 4913 -31700 Community Correction Project Income, Other Services and Charges, $48,000. Council approval is the only requirement on this, I would say, because it's not been it's already been appropriated. Is that how that works?
Says this fund is.
Doesn't have to be. Okay. So the cash balance on February 20th was 354,000. Projected income was 279,000 for the year, which would put that fund at 633,000 by December 31st. And the budget is 512,000, including this additional appropriation request. So fund collects an average of 25,000 per month or 279,000 per year. Anybody have any questions? Does anybody?
What's it for?
Drug screens. When I did the budget for 2024, we only did our drug screens. Now we're doing the drug screens for us, probation, pretrial services. And so that's the cost of testing kits, confirmation, that kind of stuff. So I needed that extra money in that budget for those expenses. So I'm spending about $6,700 a month on those right now, so. And previously, we were just doing like separate community corrections and staff drug screens. We weren't doing for the whole county at that time. And these are drug screens that the clients pay. So while I'm spending this money, we also get paid by the probationers and our clients for these drug screens and the cost of the lab testing.
You just gotta have it to get it originally and then you get reimbursed more or less.
So when you get reimbursed, that just goes back into the account then?
It does. They go back into project income, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the.
Motion from Riley, second by Stillwell. Any other questions? Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then the Fund 4100, 30101 EMA Prepare Women's Foundation. 30000 other services and charges. In the amount of $5,000. The cash balance on March 11th was $16,122, and the budget was $4,763. She's not here. Is that, do you know what that's for more specifically or not?
It's to fund a first responder class.
Okay.
Under what?
A first responder class. $5,000 additional. And we would have to advertise this one, correct? Entertain a motion to advertise.
Make a motion to advertise the 5,000.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Bob Schleter. Everybody getting in the game. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. And then, yeah. The Owensville Montgomery Township Fire Protection District General Fund, we were visited by them last meeting to approve a capital outlay expenditure of $220,000. I know there were some questions from them at that point that they were able to answer. Felt like we went forward pretty clearly with that, but they have plenty of money in their fund. And they always have done a good job of that. Would be my piece.
We're buying new oxygen tanks and stuff. Is that what it was?
New SCBA's.
Meet people.
Well, we've got 21 people on the roster, but we're only gonna buy 21 that.
Normally,
One truck has 4 in the jump seats in it, the other truck has 5 in it. And then one truck, then 3 extra on the side, and then another truck that found the station in Johnson has 4 on it. For the standard list one of which for each pack, you have to have 2 tanks if they're not anything.
so it's about $20,000 per person almost.
Just almost.
Yeah.
A motion.
Second, sorry.
I asked if it was. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. All signatures there. I had meant to do it at the last meeting. I hate that I didn't, but I wanted to publicly thank, because I don't know if he's gotten enough thanks for it, but Matt Holden, our county engineer, previous county engineer, kind of went above and beyond by helping out whenever mistakes were made with that community correction, mistakes, oversights, whatever it's ended up being called. But the moral of the story is, it would have been probably pretty easy for him just to let it ride and say, see what happens. And Matt was exceptional about helping the commissioners and the highway department get in line, that hopefully we will get that funding in the second half of the year. It's still gonna cost us, just in the form of the increase in materials costs and things like that are gonna be coming later, but very appreciative of the effort that he put in helping get that through, so. At no cost to the county too. Yes, yep.
It's fantastic.
Lost the best driver ever. I don't guess we could ever get him back.
Any other comments?
Right now, you want.
Motion, oh, yes. No, go ahead, go.
Wanted to remind everybody about our forum this weekend. If you have not RSVP'd and you would like to speak, you do have to be on the agenda. Anybody that's running for office, anybody that's already in office that would like to give an update.
Thank you.